The caged girl. The air was thick with dust and silence. Deep under the rocky surface of the abandoned planet, a small group of human soldiers moved carefully through the dark corridors. Their boots crunched on broken metal and glass. Strange machines blinked slowly, like they were still alive, but dying. Captain Ray Carter led the team. His eyes scanned every corner. His gun stayed ready. They had received a signal, a weak, broken cry for help, from this hidden base. But no one knew who built it, or who was inside. "This place wasn't on any map," whispered Sergeant Lena. "Whoever made this didn't want to be found." Ray nodded. He felt it too. Something was wrong here. It was too quiet. No bodies, no signs of a fight. Just cold metal and machines that whispered secrets. They passed rows of empty rooms, some with shattered glass walls, some with dried-up blood on the floors. Then they reached a thick door half open. A dim blue light glowed inside. Ray stepped in first, and then he saw her. In the corner of the room, behind energy bars, sat a small girl. Her skin was light purple, her eyes large and glowing green. Her hair looked like soft silver threads. She couldn't be more than 7 or 8 years old, but she was clearly not human. She looked up at them. No fear, just sadness. "Captain," said Lena, stunned. "Is that a child?" Ray lowered his weapon and stepped closer to the bars. The girl didn't move. She just watched him quietly. Then she spoke. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Can I have a dad now, please?" Ray froze. The room was silent. Even the machines seemed to stop. "What did you say?" he asked carefully. The girl looked down. Her small hands gripped the metal floor of the cage. "Mom said, maybe if I wait long enough, someone kind will come. Someone who can be my dad." Lena took a step forward. "Is your mother here?" The girl nodded slowly. "They took her away for testing. I haven't seen her in a long time. I think she's sick." Ray's heart tightened. This was not just a prison, it was a lab. And this girl had been left behind like a forgotten pet. "Why are you in a cage?" he asked. "I don't know," she said. "They said I was special, that I had to be kept safe. But they never smiled. Only cold faces." Ray turned to his team. "We need to get her out of here. Now." Private Jonah checked the control panel. "It's locked with a biocode. I can't crack it from here." Ray looked back at the girl. "Do you know how to open it?" She shook her head. "They never taught me anything. Just told me to be quiet. To sit still." Lena stepped beside Ray. "Sir, this whole place is probably still monitored. If we break that cage, we might alert someone." Ray looked into the girl's eyes. They were filled with hope now, a tiny light that had been hiding for years. "We're not leaving her here." He raised his plasma cutter and aimed it at the energy bars. The girl blinked, then smiled. A real small smile. The bars hissed as they melted. Sparks flew. Alarms stayed silent. After a minute, the door dropped. The girl stood slowly. She was thin, weak, but her steps were steady. She walked to Ray and gently held his hand. "You came," she said. Ray bent down. "Yes, and I'm not leaving without you." "What's your name?" Lena asked. The girl looked unsure. "They called me Subject 9. But my mom used to call me Leary." "Then Leary it is," Ray said. But as they turned to leave, a soft sound echoed through the hallway behind them. Footsteps. Heavy. Not human. Ray's smile vanished. He pulled Leary behind him. The team raised their weapons. "Stay close," Ray told her. "We'll get your mom. We'll get out. I promise." Leary looked up at him, and for the first time, her eyes shined with something more than sadness. Trust. The lights flickered above them. Each flicker felt like a heartbeat. Fast, nervous, alive. Captain Ray Carter held the little alien girl close to his side as the team moved deeper into the underground base. The walls whispered. Machines hummed softly, like they were dreaming. But it wasn't a dream. It was a graveyard, and something down here was still awake. Leary, the alien girl, didn't speak. Her silver hair hung across her face. Her small hand gripped Ray's tightly, like she feared he would disappear. Ray didn't blame her. Behind them, Lena kept checking their back. Jonah scanned the area with a motion sensor. The green light blinked steadily. No movement yet. Ray paused at a sealed metal door with strange symbols etched into it. "What is this place?" he muttered. Lena stepped forward. "It's not alien. At least, not fully. Some of this tech is human." Ray looked at her. "You're saying we built this?" "Maybe not us," Lena said, "but someone from Earth. Someone working off the books." Ray felt something twist in his chest. The war with the alien worlds had ended years ago. Peace had returned. Or so they thought. He turned to Leary. "Do you remember what they did here?" Leary shook her head. "They told me not to ask questions. They told me to forget. But I heard them whisper about experiments. About my mom." Ray's voice was gentle. "Is she still alive?" "I think so," she whispered. "She used to sing to me through the wall. Until one day, the singing stopped." Jonah looked up from his scanner. "Captain, I found something. A data terminal. Still active." They entered a control room filled with blinking screens and floating holopanels. The air smelled like burned wires and chemicals. A broken chair spun slowly in the middle of the room. Jonah tapped a screen. Files appeared: logs, video clips, test results. Ray watched the first video. A woman stood in a white lab coat. Her voice was cold. Subject 9 shows advanced mental response to emotional triggers. Connection with maternal figure is unusually strong. Recommendation: isolate child to study long-term effects of separation trauma. Leary looked away. Ray felt sick. Another video played. This time, it showed Leary's mother. A tall, graceful alien woman with glowing blue eyes, strapped to a table, wires attached to her head. She was singing softly, even as machines beeped around her. Ray clenched his fists. This wasn't science. This was cruelty. Suddenly, the base shook. A low alarm began to pulse, slow and distant, like a heartbeat waking up. Jonah checked his scanner again. Movement. North corridor. Something big. Ray shut off the screen. "Grab all the data you can. We need proof of what happened here." Lena moved to the terminal. "On it. I'll download everything." Leary tugged on Ray's sleeve. "They're coming." "Who?" "The ones who made me cry." Ray pulled her closer. "Not this time." As Lena copied the files, another door unlocked with a hiss. A long hallway stretched ahead. Faint lights blinked at the far end. A nameplate hung above the entrance. Test Zone B, live subject holding. Ray stared at it. "She might be in there." Leary nodded. "That's where they took her last." The hallway felt colder than the rest of the base. Like it hadn't been touched in a long time. Like the shadows themselves were afraid to move. They walked slowly, cautiously. Every sound echoed like a scream. Then they saw it. A glass chamber in the center of a wide room. Inside, suspended in blue light, was Leary's mother. She floated, asleep but alive. Tubes ran from her arms and head. Her body looked thinner, weaker. "Mom!" Leary cried out, but Ray stopped her gently. "She's alive, but barely," said Lena. "She's in stasis. They froze her to stop damage from the tests." Jonah was already at the control panel. "I can start the wake-up process, but it'll take time. And it'll make noise." Ray looked back down the hall. The scanner still blinked. Closer now. Something was coming. "Do it," Ray said. "We're not leaving her behind." The machine hissed as steam filled the chamber. Leary pressed her face to the glass, tears in her eyes. "Wake up, Mama," she whispered. "Please, we found help." Suddenly, the hallway lights behind them went dark. The team turned, weapons raised. Heavy footsteps echoed in the shadows. Not machines. Not human. Something else. Ray stood between Leary and the darkness. "Get ready," he said, "because they're not letting us leave without a fight." The sound of steam filled the room. Hissing. Rising. Alive. Leary's small hands pressed against the glass tube, her breath fogging the surface. Inside, her mother's body began to move, slowly, like someone waking from a deep nightmare. Ray stood close behind her, weapon ready, eyes locked on the hallway. The footsteps had stopped. That made it worse. Nothing was scarier than a sound that suddenly disappears. Jonah was at the control panel, sweat on his forehead. Waking process is halfway. Another 2 minutes. We don't have 2 minutes, Ray growled. The lights flickered. Then they heard it. A sharp mechanical shriek. Not like a machine breaking, more like something alive and angry. Leary didn't notice. Her eyes were only on her mother. The glass lit up as the blue fluid drained away. Her mother's fingers twitched. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly. "Mama," Leary whispered. For a second, silence. Then the woman inside turned her head, slowly, and her lips moved. "Leary." The voice was weak, but it was real. Leary burst into quiet sobs, touching the glass as if her tiny hands could break it open by love alone. Ray turned to Lena. "How long until that chamber opens?" "Less than a minute." But, bang! A massive figure slammed into the doorframe behind them. Half machine, half alien. 8 feet tall. Red lights blinked from its head. Its arms ended in blades. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. It charged. Ray shoved Leary aside and fired. A direct hit to the chest, but the creature barely flinched. The team opened fire. Sparks flew. The creature howled, leapt forward, and slammed its blade into the floor, missing Ray by inches. "Jonah, get that chamber open," Ray shouted. "I'm trying," Jonah yelled. "System's fighting me." The creature roared and swung at Lena. She rolled aside, shot twice and shouted, "Weak spot's the back. Shoot its spine." Ray dove behind cover and flanked it. With a single clean shot, he hit the exposed wiring on its back. Electricity burst out. The creature screamed but still stood. The chamber beeped. With a hiss, the glass slid open. Leary ran forward. "Leary, wait!" Too late. She reached her mother and threw her arms around her. The woman staggered, weak but standing. Her arms wrapped around the child. "Shoo! I've got you now," the mother whispered. "I never stopped singing. I just sang inside." Ray fired the last shot. The creature fell with a loud crash, smoke pouring from its broken body. Sparks flew from its shattered spine. The room fell silent again. Only the sound of Leary crying in her mother's arms remained. Jonah knelt beside the body. That thing wasn't alien. It had human tech. "Another experiment?" Lena asked, wiping blood from her cheek. Ray nodded grimly. "A weapon they made to guard their secrets." He walked over to Leary and her mother. The woman looked at him with tired, wise eyes. "You helped my daughter." Ray nodded. "We're getting you both out. You're safe now." The woman coughed. "There's more like that creature. Deeper in the base. If the system wakes them." "We're not going deeper," Ray said. "We're getting out. Now." He lifted Leary gently, who still refused to let go of her mother's hand. Lena helped the woman walk. She could barely stand, but she smiled, a broken, tired smile, as the team moved out. They moved fast through the burning halls. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Pipes burst. Fire chased their heels. And yet, in the middle of it all, a small voice whispered, "Mama." "Yes, little star? Is he my dad now?" The mother paused, then looked at Ray. He didn't answer, but he smiled. A small, honest smile. And that was enough for Leary. Flames licked the walls like hungry mouths. Alarms screamed in the background. High, sharp, endless. The underground base was dying, and it wanted to take everyone with it. Captain Ray Carter moved fast, cradling Leary in his arms. Her mother, weak but conscious, leaned on Lena as they ran. Jonah led the way, scanning ahead, guiding them through the smoke-filled halls. The lights above them flickered red. System shut down. 3 minutes remaining. "Which way?" Ray shouted. "Left," Jonah yelled. "Then straight to the elevator shaft." They turned the corner only to stop dead. A wall of fire blocked the hallway. Pipes had burst above, fuel leaking, flames roaring like beasts. Leary buried her face in Ray's shoulder. "We're trapped," Lena said, coughing. "We need another route." "There is no other way," Jonah said. "Everything behind us is already collapsing." Leary's mother fell to her knees, gasping. Ray lowered Leary gently. "Stay close to your mom." He stepped forward toward the fire. He could feel the heat biting through his armor. "We can't go through that," Lena said. "We'll burn." Ray's eyes scanned the fire, searching, thinking. Then, behind them, a rumble. A second shriek echoed through the base. Jonah turned pale. Something else woke up. Ray's voice was hard now. "We're not dying down here. Not today." But just as he was about to speak again, something strange happened. The air around Leary began to shimmer. The heat in the hallway changed, bent, like the flames were afraid of her. She stepped forward, her small hand raised. "Leary, stop!" her mother cried. But the girl didn't stop. She stood in front of the fire and whispered, "Don't hurt my family." And the flames parted, like a curtain being pulled back. Everyone stood still, mouths open, eyes wide. The fire didn't touch her. It moved away, afraid. Ray stared at her. "What are you?" Leary looked back, tears in her glowing green eyes. "I don't know. They never told me." Jonah blinked. "That's not science. That's not tech. That's something else." Ray didn't wait. "Move. Now." They ran through the narrow path Leary created. Heat brushed their skin, but the fire didn't touch them. The walls cracked around them, and the floor shook with every step. They reached the final door. Steel. Locked. Heavy. Jonah slammed the control panel. "Power's gone. We're sealed in." Leary's mother fell against the wall. They made her to be a bridge, a mix of both. She's more than either species. But they feared what she'd become. Ray looked at Leary. She stepped forward. Her hand touched the metal door. A moment passed. Then boom, the door unlocked. Light from the surface poured in like a sunrise. Fresh air. Freedom. They climbed the last ladder one by one. Ray carried Leary. Lena helped the mother. Jonah watched their backs. As they emerged from the ground, the base behind them groaned, then collapsed in a roar of fire and steel. They lay in the dirt, coughing, breathing, staring at the sky. Blue. Open. Safe. Leary sat up and looked around. "So this is the outside?" Ray nodded. "Yeah. And it's all yours now." Her mother sat beside her. Her eyes still tired, but full of peace. Lena looked at Ray. "We can't go back to command with this. They'll want to study her. Lock her away again." Ray didn't answer at first. Then he turned to Leary. "You still want a dad?" he asked quietly. Leary smiled. A soft, glowing smile. "Only if he wants a daughter." Ray smiled back. "Guess we're both stuck with each other now." They didn't speak after that. They just watched the smoke rise behind them and walked toward the shuttle, toward a future they'd have to build from the ashes. Together. The stars looked peaceful. They always did. From the window of the orbiting medical ship, Earth looked like a dream. Quiet. Blue. Safe. But Captain Ray Carter knew better. He stood alone in the observation deck, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the planet below. It had been 2 days since they escaped the underground lab. 2 days since they brought Leary and her mother to safety. But safety was an illusion. Behind him, the door hissed open. "Captain," said a calm voice. Ray didn't turn. "General Tyven. I figured you'd show up eventually." The tall man in the black uniform stepped forward, his boots silent on the metal floor. His face was smooth, eyes sharp. Too sharp. "You broke protocol," the general said. "Unauthorized entry. Retrieval of unknown life forms. Destruction of private property." Ray turned now. "She's a child." Tyven's smile didn't reach his eyes. "She's a weapon. One we spent 20 years perfecting." Ray's jaw tightened. "She's not yours." "She was never just yours," Tyven replied. "She was made for balance. A peacekeeper between species. But you ruined that." Ray stepped closer. "All I ruined was your secret lab full of tortured families." Tyvan's voice dropped. Do you think they'll let this go? The ones who funded it? The ones who ordered it? This isn't a rescue mission, Captain. It's a cover-up. And you just blew it wide open. Behind the glass, a small figure appeared. Leary. She walked softly, holding her mother's hand. Her silver hair glowed under the lights. She didn't see the men watching her. But Ray saw her smile. Peaceful. For now. Tyvan followed Ray's gaze. You're attached. I see that. It's unfortunate. Ray stepped in front of him. If you come for her. Tyvan's smile vanished. You'll be court-martialed. Labeled unstable. Dishonorably discharged. And she'll still end up where she belongs. Ray's voice was ice. Try it. The door opened again. Lena and Jonah walked in, both tense. They stood beside Ray without speaking, but their meaning was clear. Tyvan looked at them all, then turned and walked out, leaving a single sentence behind him. You have no idea what you've invited into your lives. Later that night, the ship floated quietly above Earth. In the medical wing, Leary sat on a soft bed, her legs crossed, eyes closed. Her mother lay nearby, resting. But Leary was listening to everything. Her ears picked up the hum of machines, the steps of guards, the whispers behind closed doors. And then something else, a sound no one else could hear. A voice. 9? Can you hear me? Leary's eyes opened slowly. Her room was still empty, but the voice was inside her head. They're lying to you. He's lying to you. Her breath caught in her throat. Who are you? No answer. Just static. Then silence. She slid off the bed and walked to the window. The stars still looked peaceful. But something out there wasn't. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Earth, a different lab. Cold. Clean. Hidden. A man in a dark coat stood before a large stasis pod. Inside floated a boy older than Leary. His body looked stronger. His face, emotionless. A screen next to him blinked. Subject 12 active. The man smiled. Let's see what you can do, brother. Darkness. But not the kind that comes with night. This was the darkness of hidden rooms, locked files, erased names. Captain Ray Carter sat alone in the ship's command center. Everyone else was asleep. Except him. Except the files glowing on his screen. Except the secret he had just found. Leary's real origin. It wasn't an accident. She wasn't born. She was built. Not in one day. Not by one person. But by a project blacklisted, buried, denied. Project Genesis. Hybrid Creation Initiative. Ray scrolled through page after page. Donor DNA from 2 alien species. Enhanced with human resilience. Programmed emotional patterns. Designed to be lovable. Designed to be controlled. And worst of all, she wasn't the only one. There were 12. Leary was subject 9. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the screen. His chest felt heavy, like he was betraying her just by knowing. Then he heard soft footsteps. He didn't turn. I couldn't sleep, said Leary's small voice. Ray closed the file and turned off the screen. Too late. She had already seen it reflected in the glass. My number is 9? Ray stood. Leary, was I made? She wasn't crying. Her face was still. But her eyes, those bright green eyes, were stormy now. Swirling. Ray nodded, slowly. Yes, but that doesn't mean. Am I real? You are more than real. Leary shook her head. They made me so someone would love me. They built me to be good. Ray knelt in front of her. They made your body, Leary, but they didn't make your heart. She looked away. Then why do I feel broken? He reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. You're not broken. You're strong. Stronger than anyone I've ever met. Silence fell between them. Then Leary whispered, There's another one. I heard his voice. In my head. Ray's heart skipped. When? Last night. He said I was not alone. Ray stood, alert now. Then we need to move. Fast. Elsewhere. General Tyvan stood in front of a large holomap. He tapped a red dot glowing in the center. A hidden lab in orbit around Jupiter. Inside it, Subject 12. The perfect hybrid. The one who didn't cry, didn't question, didn't need love, only orders. We bring him online in 48 hours, Tyven said. Then we send him after 9. An officer beside him frowned. You're sending a weapon to retrieve another weapon? Tyven smiled. No, I'm sending a mirror to show her what she really is. Back on the ship, Ray gathered Lena, Jonah, and Leary's mother in the briefing room. He showed them what he found. The files, the recordings, the names of the scientists who ran the Genesis project. At the top of the list was one name, Dr. Eli Varon. Ray paused. Does anyone know that name? Lena's eyes narrowed. He disappeared years ago, vanished during the peace talks. Jonah added, rumor was he worked on hybrid research, the kind even the military wouldn't touch. Ray turned to Leary's mother. Do you know him? She didn't speak at first, then nodded slowly. He was kind at first, gentle, said he wanted peace. He said Leary would be the bridge between our worlds. But when she started showing emotions, real ones, he changed. What happened? Ray asked. Her voice shook. He said she was too human, too soft. He wanted her rewritten. But I ran. I hid her. They caught me. But not her. Ray stared at the screen. Dr. Varon, the man who started it all, and the man who might still be alive. We find him, Ray said, and we end this. Later, Leary sat alone by the window again. The stars looked different now. Not peaceful, not beautiful, just distant. She touched the glass. I'm not like them, she whispered. I'm not like anyone. Then, faintly, a voice in her head again. That's because you're the strongest of us all. But even stars can be used to burn. Leary's hand dropped. Outside the ship, a small drone floated just beyond view, watching, listening, and waiting for the order to strike. The stars were not silent anymore. They pulsed with tension. Outside the orbiting ship, Earth shimmered in the distance, but something darker hovered in space. A second ship, sleek, black, silent. Ray Carter stood at the observation window, helmet in hand, staring at it. They're here. Behind him, the team gathered. Lena loaded her rifle. Jonah tapped furiously on the console, scanning signals. Leary stood still. She already knew who was coming. Subject 12. Her brother, by code, not by choice. Ray turned to her. We don't have to fight. We can run. I'll hide you. Forever if I have to. Leary looked up. You said I was real. That I have a heart. You do. Then I have to choose what to do with it. On the other ship, Subject 12 stood motionless in a steel room. His eyes glowed dim red. No emotion. No fear. Just purpose. Dr. Eli Varon stepped into the chamber. Older now. His hair gray, but his voice sharp. She will resist, he said softly. But remember, she is not your sister. She is just the failed model. 12 said nothing. Bring her back alive if you can. If not, end it. The airlock opened. Minutes later, the ship shook as 12 landed on the outer deck. No weapons. He didn't need any. Ray met him first, armored. Ready. She's not going with you. 12 tilted his head. You are unnecessary. Ray raised his weapon, but a soft voice cut through the tension. Let me talk to him. Leary stepped forward. Alone. 12 watched her, eyes blank. You don't have to follow them, Leary said. We can be free. Both of us. I was made to obey. So was I. But I chose something else. 12 stepped forward. Choice is an illusion. Leary's voice grew stronger. Then why are you hesitating? 12 stopped. Just for a second. That's when Dr. Varon's voice echoed through his head. End it. Now. 12's eyes flashed, and he lunged. Ray fired. Lena joined in. But 12 moved faster than any human. He dodged, kicked, slammed Ray into the wall. Then he turned to Leary. But she didn't run. Her hands glowed. Her voice shook the room. No more cages. She released the energy inside her, not to destroy, but to shield. A blinding light burst between them, pushing 12 back. 12 crashed to the floor, stunned. Leary walked to him, slowly. "You're not a monster," she whispered. "You're just lost." 12 looked up at her. For the first time, his face changed. Uncertainty, emotion, a crack in the armor. Behind them, Dr. Varen appeared on the screen, yelling, "12, finish it." But 12 looked at Leary and made his first real choice. He stood, turned to the screen, and said, "No." Then he crushed his communicator. After the fight, Varen's ship tried to escape, but Jonah had already locked missiles on it. It didn't make it far. In silence, the stars reclaimed the debris. Later, Ray, bruised and tired, sat beside Leary as they looked out at Earth together. "I thought you were going to run," he said. Leary smiled. "I thought about it, but I wanted to protect the people I love." Ray chuckled softly. "You're more human than most humans I know." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do I still get to call you Dad?" Ray nodded. "You always could." Leary's mother walked over with tea, her body weak but healing. Lena joined with a soft smile. Jonah sat nearby watching the stars. And 12? He sat quietly in the corner, no longer a weapon, just a boy who had never been given a name. Leary walked over to him. "Do you want one?" she asked. He looked up, confused. "A name," she said. "You deserve one." He thought for a long time, then nodded. Leary smiled. "Okay, we'll find the right one together." Final scene. The ship descended to Earth. The sky was blue. The air was warm. And as the doors opened, Leary stepped out holding one hand of her mother and the other of the man she now called Dad. She had been created in a lab, trained to obey, built to be controlled. But in the end, she chose something stronger than programming. She chose love. And love, not blood, made her family.